Welcome to Rob's Country for this week. We're going to be catching up with Andrew West, who is the Vice-Chancellor for Lincoln University, and where he is taking that organisation. Also going to be meeting up with a jockey who is doing exceedingly well and is going to burst into the Australasian scene. But in just a moment, it's irrigation. Well, you predicted the season. What do you like on horses?
Oh, look, I'm not into four-legged animals, so leave the horses out of this.
Because you're deadly accurate with the season.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not quite as, it hasn't developed as severely as it as was originally predicted to be. We're certainly in a really dry spell. All the indications are still there that El Nino is developing. We don't really have that typical El Nino weather though. We're not getting those nor'westers. We're really dominated by high pressure systems rather than those westerly, being in those westerly air patterns. And that's probably our saving grace at the moment. I mean, if you go back in time now, it's July the 20th since we last had enough rainfall to refill profiles to bring them back to field capacity.
July 20.
July the 20th. So that's a few months ago now.
Yeah, it is.
And so we've just been progressively developing deficits up until about the middle of September, and then it's just really cranked in since then. But the real saving grace is that there aren't any persistent nor'westers. Okay, we got a period yesterday when the winds were really high winds up around the Darfield wind whistle, aptly named of course, and up around that area. But they didn't last all day. They lasted till about lunchtime, and then they disappeared, went calm for a while, and came back again in the afternoon. But we haven't got that persistence of the nor'westers, and that really is the saving grace. We can keep up with irrigation at the moment.
How's the North Island looking?
Oh, the North Island looks pretty good actually. If you go into parts of Hawke's Bay, for example, they've been getting relatively regular rainfalls. If you go back a couple of weekends, 10 days ago now, they got about 35 millimetres over the weekend. Just perfect, you know. I mean, wouldn't we love a 35 millimetre rainfall right now? So they're actually getting some rainfalls which are just keeping tabs on things, and they're not being dominated by these high pressure systems that produce either the northeasterly winds or the southwesterly winds that we're getting through Canterbury. Yeah.
So North Island's good, South Island just keeping up?
Yeah, the east coast of this, everywhere along the east coast of the South Island is sort of just keeping up at the moment. You know, if as predicted the El Nino really does build and get stronger heading towards Christmas, then we could probably see an introduction of longer periods of northwesterly winds, and that's probably not a good thing in a way, because it's, you know, as we get from about the beginning of November, second week of November, we've got a lot of crops that have got full leaf area now, and as soon as we get some really hot conditions, then their water uses are just going to go through the roof, and we'll really struggle to keep up.
Yeah, okay, well, you keep in touch about that. Are you spending a lot of time up north? Yeah,
I am spending a lot of time in the North Island. I'm doing a job for the Hawke's Bay Regional Investment Company.
Which is Ruataniwha?
They're the company that's vested with making sure that Ruataniwha gets off the ground now with farmers buying water out of the dam. So I'm visiting farmers on a one-on-one basis to talk them through, given their soil types and their farm shapes and what their enterprises are, how much water they should procure out of Ruataniwha, because it's a relatively, for them irrigation is a pretty new experience up there. I mean, if you look at the amount of area that's irrigated compared to the area that's not irrigated, it's relatively large on the non-irrigated side of things. And so the irrigation market's not as mature as it is in Canterbury. If you go and talk to farmers here, they understand about system capacity, they understand what annual volumes are, they understand water, about the reliability of water and how you turn that into productive capacity, in other words, maximising what you grow. They've learnt to farm with droughts in that central Hawke's Bay area, and you know, you have to jump the hurdle of having a few hundred millimetres around to get you out of the drought you have to jump that hurdle of getting out of the drought and making sure that the water you use is pushed straight into production, so that you know, instead of selling all your bulls, for example, in December and then having to buy back into the market when it rains again in February, along with everybody else, so you're selling at low prices, buying at high prices, you know, they'll be able to carry, they figure then they'll be able to carry their bulls through, or they'll be able to lot of breeding units. They'll be able to finish their yearlings, finish their lambs, add another couple of kilograms or 3 kilograms to the lambs. So it's talking them through that process. Yeah.
And the bankers, because the bankers should be pretty happy if there's guaranteed supply.
Yeah. The banks are all on board. I mean, this is a pretty attractive scheme. It is on the slightly expensive side, probably not a lot more expensive, or about on par actually with Central Plains water. Has much higher reliability than Central Plains water. It arrives at the gate under pressure. It's going to arrive at the gate with 35 metres ahead, so you're going to run just about every irrigator you need on the property. It's going to come out of a pipe, and you can plug in, turn your irrigator on, no electricity, no nothing. So, it's a complete shift in mindset for a lot of the farmers up there.
Well, you're going to be spending a bit more time up there. Thank you very much indeed. After the break, we'll be talking cropping with Dennis.
Airtech wastewater treatment systems are the future here now. Easy to use and efficient e-sewage plants are already where the environmentalists are heading. You can relax as new rules come into place. A series of chambers does the work while you reap the benefits. Easy to landscape, they're ideal for new homes or as a replacement for an old septic tank. Airtech wastewater treatment system, your advantage when dealing with grey or black water. See the RX Plastics website for details or contact RX Environmental.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, the naturopath here at Staywell Pharmacy. Working with the pharmacist, I use herbal and nutritional medicine to recommend natural alternatives for your health. This can be to counteract any side effects of your medication, general health advice, or natural options for you and your family. I'm also available for consultations. So come in and see us at Staywell Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road, Hornby. Staywell Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Avoid the monkeys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options are also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring moving company.
Oi! Just 7 minutes north of Christchurch, Silverstream is a unique residential community carefully planned and developed within a rich and natural environment. A family home or terraced villas, Silverstream offers a wide range of living options for every stage of life. The show homes are open. You can select your section, design your home and choose your builder. Purchase the house and land package or the terraced villa for streamside living. Silverstream, a community for everyone. It's closer than you think.
Undergone home renovations? Looking for that special something to complete a room? Look no further than the Hitching Post. Their extensive range ensures you can find that special something. From plasma cut metalwork, to candles, artwork, weather vanes, or even a customised gate. So come on down to the Hitching Post, 722 Marshland Road.
The world really is your oyster with Farm to Farm tours. Discover some of the world's best farming, scenery and cultural experiences. We work closely with trusted international colleagues in more than 30 countries to customise great trips for people just like you. For a hassle-free trip, call the friendly team at Farm to Farm Tours now or visit our website.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. You just had a seed conference?
Yes, Rob, in Dunedin, the New Zealand Grain Seed Trade Association just had their annual conference and was very, very interesting with lots of interesting speakers, and I must say the industry's in pretty good heart and ready to face a lot of challenges.
So what sort of things were covered?
Well, the government industry agreement, GIA, the government are looking at biosecurity incursions, and we all know about fruit fly and blackgrass and things like that. And so what they're trying to do is have discussions with industry around the type of risks that industry faces and some of the things that could happen. And there's two organisations on board, and it's the kiwi fruit people, and of course we all know about PSA, and the Pork Industry Council, which there's lots of pig diseases around the world that are quite a threat. So they're the only two. Yeah, exactly, and honey. They're the only two that are on side at this stage. So what the government's doing is talking to industry groups and identifying those risks and challenges, identifying the expertise that could be available for a biosecurity incursion, and getting some names and numbers around things, and assisting with a quicker response if something happens. And I must say the blackgrass incursion was particularly well handled, and the company concerned put their hand up and said, yes, we're at fault, and the government were very appreciative of that, and so they did some joint funding on fixing it. And so at the end of the day, if an industry commits to this GIA, they will be asked to do some funding of things to a level, but then the government will also clearly let the industry know what they will do for the industry. And we all get concerned about things like foot and mouth for New Zealand. So these biosecurity things, they're not just pipe dreams, they are real. We've had a few, and there's plenty of others sitting out there waiting.
We're just so vulnerable.
Indeed. Yep.
Food origins.
Yes, Rob, something that's really happening around the world with marketing food is the guaranteeing of the traceability and the origin of the food. And there's a little company in Dunedin that was born out of Otago University called Oratane, and they can actually tell. They started with 3 staff members and they're now up to 15. It's just exploding. And food manufacturers and exporters around the world, especially from New Zealand, who want to get a premium or get a market access based on the security of the known origin of their food, have embraced them. And the dairy industry have embraced these people. Honey is one thing that is supposedly there's 2,500 tonne of Manuka honey produced in New Zealand, but there's 10,000 tonne exported. So that doesn't add up. So
no,
there's some things going on there, and also they can tell if kiwi fruit on the market with a label on it that says Zespri or whatever, whether it's Italian or Brazilian or New Zealand. They can tell with chemical tests, and they can prove to the buyers just that it is or is not New Zealand stuff, and that somebody is potentially counterfeiting and stealing some of our intellectual property, some of our value from us. So in terms of policing that is a huge challenge for this country, and a huge challenge for these people. But
so they go to point of sale. Like, for example, they'll go to the
exactly.
UK. They
will. They'll go there and they'll draw samples and check them, and they can prove definitively if it is or isn't. They can even say where their fish were caught based on the exposure to sunlight and water conditions, and all sorts of things. So, there's things like the honey we were talking about, kiwi fruit, wine, milk. The other thing that's counterfeited badly around the world is olive oil, is not true to origin, and honey is the other, which has maple syrup put in it. So they can prove all these things, and
sort of a DNA of a kiwi fruit, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Changing the subject to creepy crawlies.
Creepy crawlies. Well, at the Yale School of Forestry in America, they've done some work on removing all the creepy crawlies that inhabit pasture, and they've kept them out of the pasture for up to 3 years, and they've sort of looked and said, well, what role do they play? What use do they have? What happens? And so what's happened is that the plant species within that sward have changed, and they have reduced productivity with the lack of these creepy crawlies, and that those plants don't respond to common agricultural practices like putting fertiliser. And obviously if they're a lesser productive plant because of changed or the lack of creepy crawlies, and then you go and put the fertiliser on, you don't get the same responses. So those creepy crawlies in your soil do a very, very good job.
Aligned with that is piranha and grass scrub, though.
Yes, the seasonality for Parina and grass grub is coming round. The beetles will start flying, and set your watch for 9 o'clock at night. That's when they buzz around, and that's November, December, and the Parina moth will be flitting around as well.
How do they know about daylight saving?
Well, they don't, Rob. Well, it's the same clock every year.
Oh, I see what you mean.
They don't move theirs forward or back, it's just the same one. But just remember what you're doing with hosting them, because if you're irrigating and you're creating big swards that they can lay their eggs in, and they will survive, versus short grazed pasture, things like that. And the more you irrigate, the more you grow, the more you host these bugs. But if you are out there spraying for other pests, if you're using a synthetic pyrethroid, things like that, you'll blow some of those grass grub beetles away, and you'll blow some of the moth away as a by-kill, which can be useful.
Exactly.
Yep.
You're a great advocate of looking underground to see what's on top.
Yes, Rob. Well, some more information from overseas. The Georgia Institute of Technology have been looking at what happens under a plant when you put something on top of a plant. In other words, they're able to measure the benefit or lack of benefit by doing a particular thing to a plant. And how they're doing it is they've got automated imaging techniques on what's happening underneath the ground, and they're analysing photographs through advanced computer technology. So if you put irrigation on, or particular fertilising element, or some other form of plant growth regulator or something like that, they can now look underneath the ground, under that plant, and say, if we do that, we can measure this, and qualify and quantify.
Dennis, thank you very much indeed. On a very similar subject, the Lincoln University is coming a long, long way. They've certainly, under Andrew West, changed direction.
Yeah, the university's now in a position where it's reinforced its land brand, and it's really focused on its specialisation around land-based activities in New Zealand. So we're the only specialist university in this country, the only university located in the countryside, actually, and that's fitting because we look at the whole land-based qualifications and careers, and that's all we do.
So what's in it for the students? Because obviously that's something in mind.
What's in it for students is that in the next 50 years, humanity's going to face a really serious crisis in terms of food security. Start out with food prices, which will rise in real terms, and it could even get to the stage, especially if there's a compounded climate change impact, of actually even being able to get hold of food, let alone how much it costs. So what humanity's got to do in the future is ensure that it's got flexible systems of agriculture and horticulture, forestry and fishing that are resilient enough to withstand really big perturbations. That it's got value chains that go from production or capture all the way out through processing, logistics, supply chain, distribution, sales over, getting into market. So food can be produced even in times of very variable climate, in times of very high demand. We still know that as a species we can adequately feed ourselves, and that's a genuine threat. And so therefore, what humanity needs, a whole range of countries around the world, are young people and older people who are particularly well skilled and experienced in those land-based industries, if you want. It's not just about production, it's about vertical value chains, it's about all the stuff around the production of food, fibre, etc., that makes it possible. And that's why we have a very simple motto: feed the world, protect the future and live well.
So it's more than, if you look at dairying industry, there's a lot apart from milking cows.
Oh yeah, look, I mean, if you go vertically up the value chain, there's milking cows obviously, and there's looking after the land and the soil, etc. But there's environmental planning, there's conservation, there's mitigation of pollution, as well as production of actual milk. Then if you go upwards, there's processing in the food factories, there's supply chain, distribution, logistics, and you've got to ship milk to factories, you've got to ship products around the place, all over the world. There's marketing and sales, someone's got to buy them. And so you've actually got to position them, especially value-added goods, you have to position them, branded goods, very carefully to get a good return. Then you've got a finance industry, so you've got the whole financial side of supporting production and processing. And alongside that, I think you've got, I've already mentioned the environment, but we actually go out a bit wider than that. If you take dairying, this may or may not be relevant, but we do landscape architecture, which is not simply about urban spaces, it's about whole landscape designs as well. And we've seen that in high country debate, and I think we're going to increasingly see it down on the flatlands, where people are saying, well, why can't we have elements of conservation and biodiversity? Why can't we design farms in certain ways where you can look at other species, not just the production of meat or milk or whatever? So we bring a whole range of academic skills to bear, and our definition of land-based is wide enough to include tourism, sport and recreation, landscape architecture and design, as well as good old agricultural production or environmental protection, etc., etc.
The interesting thing, I guess, is that you're saying to be part of that wave, you are going to need to be qualified, because there's a lot of other people in that market as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's quite interesting. I mean, when you look at I don't know if you call farming small business now, there may not be many people running them, but they're actually capital base is big and the sophistication's high, and the turnover can be quite large too for a farm. You don't really have to be qualified to be a farmer or a farm worker. There's certain various competencies you must be able to demonstrate: health and safety, agricultural chemicals, chains, all that sort of stuff. You don't actually have to be qualified, and I think in the future you may have to be. Just like you're qualified to work in a hospital, or you're qualified to fly an aeroplane, you're qualified, for a whole variety of things. You have to show codified competence to do something. Well, the sophistication that's now coming into farming and the obligations and requirements, I think, will take us down that route. And I think in the future you'll see either you're a farm owner or you're employed as a farm manager by an equity partnership. There'll be a demand for you to have, for a farm manager, at minimum a degree. There'll be a demand for farm advisors in the future, probably at minimum to have a master's. There'll be a demand for everybody working on a farm to have a certificate or a diploma. And so the whole thing becomes a lot more sophisticated, and I think it's necessary given the complexity now of food production with growing concern about the environment.
Very exciting times. You will have more from Andrew West straight after the break.
Irrigation is the future for farming in New Zealand, but like any technology, you can't be expected to get the most out of it on your own. Hydro Services is the key to maximising your results. On-farm irrigation management, minimising drainage losses, minimising power usage and maximising efficiency. Soil moisture solutions, soil water holding capacity assessments, resource consent applications and on-farm workshops, all there in the one place. Hydro Services, your one-stop for irrigation management and soil moisture measurement solutions. Mainland Minerals has been giving farmers the edge since the 1950s. Sophisticated and very accurate soil tests and a vast knowledge of what the soil needs means those using Mainland Minerals keep their costs extremely low while getting the very best results from their fertilisers. Fertiliser application is a science. Get it wrong and you pay. Get it right and it will pay you dividends. Mainland Minerals, proven over 60 years and one of the best kept secrets in farming. Contact the award-winning guys and turn your property around.
Espresso Car Wash. Bring back the shine with options from an express wash for just $28 up to a fully detailed interior and exterior grooming package from just $63. We also offer services such as interior shampoo, wax and polish, aircon treatment, odour eliminator, vehicle destickering, the list goes on. And don't forget our gift vouchers, no matter what the occasion. Espresso Car Wash at 5 great Christchurch locations: Corner Lincoln Road and Morehouse Ave, The Palms, Northlands, Ferrymead and the Hub Hornby.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, the naturopath here at Staywell Pharmacy. Working with the pharmacist, I use herbal and nutritional medicine to recommend natural alternatives for your health. This can be to counteract any side effects of your medication, general health advice, or natural options for you and your family. I'm also available for consultations. So come in and see us at Staywell Pharmacy. 27 Shand Road, Hornby. Stay Well Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? Or on our par 3 9-hole golf course? Test your skills on the mini golf course or have a go at the airgun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
Well, Lincoln University has certainly come a long way since it was just a Lincoln College.
Well, we have, yeah, now a university and proud of it, been that for a while. It's been around for 130. Well, we have, yeah, now a university. Well, we have, yeah, now a university and proud of it, been that for a while. It's been around for 136 years, since 1878, and it's the oldest agricultural college in the Southern Hemisphere, apparently. So we're pretty proud of that. History does count. We've been, we've had generations of brilliant people working here. We've still got brilliant people working here, wonderful academics. And we still teach a lot of the old chestnuts. We still teach the Diploma of Agriculture, probably taught it for 120 years or something. We teach the Bachelor of Agricultural Science, Bachelor of Commerce, Agriculture. They're old chestnuts, but they're changing all the time. We're refining the course content to reflect the present and the future. Doesn't take away the need, actually, for those collections of skills and knowledge that you learn, the graduate profile, we call it, that you have when you graduate and leave this institution. So in some ways it's back to the future.
That's interesting, because what you're doing is anticipating a need which hasn't shown itself yet. I mean, crystal balls and things.
Well, sometimes you have to. I mean, personal view is that within 25 to 30 years on the flatlands around the world, a lot of food production will be run robotically. There'll hardly be a human on the landscape. I think robots will be able to control so many things. You think about housed or partially housed cows on flat land, you should be able to move them around paddocks using robots, opening gates and all that sort of stuff, because they move where the food is. You should be able to robotically milk them. They'll, of choice, move into housing, of choice move out for food if it's grazing on pastures. So you start to wonder where the human actually comes in. Increasingly, we will see robotics taking over even sheep farming on hillsides. That's a little bit more complicated. But you're certainly going to see robotic combine harvesters, all that sort of stuff in terms of crops, robotic application of chemicals. So it'll be a completely new and different world. But we've seen it already in the food processing factories. It's just a case of getting it out there now at scale across the landscape.
Andrew, it's exceedingly exciting as a time.
Oh, it always is, isn't it? But humanity does face two great challenges, three actually. The first is the combination of on the one hand, the greatest accumulation of mammalian biomass in the history of this planet, or at least the greatest in terms of speed. Human species going from 1 billion people in 1900 to 10 billion people in 2060. I mean, 9 billion extra humans in 150 years or something. It's 160 years, unbelievable. Then they're going to be wealthier too, so they're going to be demanding more food all the time. So you've got this massive increase in demand, change in the nature of demand for food, and at the same time you've got climate change. And as climate change really starts to kick in, you're going to see the warming up of these big continents where we produce the bulk of our food, the grains and the rice, etc., across Asia, Central Europe, Brazil, North America. Now, what happens when they get really hot? Where's the food going to be produced? So I think that's the really big issue that will drive a lot of these careers and a lot of these opportunities. We've got to fix this as a species. There's no, we can have whatever ICT toys that we want to play around with, and however many smart cars and however many clever this and clever that. But if you can't get food, there's trouble, and that's the great opportunity and the great threat facing our species, and that means it's a brilliant set of qualifications to study.
Can you handle the numbers that are wanting to climb onto that wave?
Well, there's a limited number of New Zealanders that want to climb onto it right now. Actually, it's quite interesting. The growth in student population or prospective students in New Zealand is almost entirely around Auckland, and I personally do think that we have a real issue about regional development, or the lack of it in this country, having spent most of my time in the regions rather than the major cities. Having said that, the reality is it is Auckland. There's 500,000 people who live there that weren't born in New Zealand. Trying to explain to the new population of New Zealanders the importance of these agribusiness careers is quite difficult. It's quite difficult when there is a very big demand to say, look, if you want to be a good New Zealander, the next or second or third generation of our family, you want to be an upstanding Kiwi, you'll go into a profession like engineering, law, accountancy or whatever. And yet the most predictable way in this country to retire with $6 to $10 million is to actually have owned a dairy farm or coming close behind it, a sheep farm. That's actually the most predictable way. So trying to explain that, first of all, if you want that sort of capital in your bank account at the time you retire, this is a great way to go down the career. Or if you want to support those industries as an employee or as an owner of a company that might be providing finance or commercial advice into the farming sector, very hard to try and get that whole career prospect across to people in Auckland. And that's not a criticism, it's just a reality, and it's a challenge for the industries who need those people. What we are finding, of course, is offshore, where there's much greater concern about food security from countries that can't feed themselves now, let alone later on. They get it already. And so I think we'll see more and more overseas people wanting to come to Lincoln to study. And some of those will want to settle in this country with our qualifications. Well, that's no bad thing either.
You can't tell me that there's not a huge future in agriculture, and New Zealanders, listen to what Andrew West has just said. After the break, we're talking rural women, New Zealand.
My son's helped me greatly with my independence now that I've got more mobility.
Mum, I've been looking into stand assist chairs from More Mobility. They recline back with a footrest. Then when you want to get out of them, they stand you up. You can even sleep on them. More Mobility can bring one out for a free trial. There's even electric beds too. What do you think? For more range and more expert advice, see More Mobility, corner Clarence and Princess Streets off Blenheim Road.
What a difference More Mobility makes.
Welcome to Caltex Redwood. We're a family-owned business proudly supporting our local community. We're open 24/7 for fuel and shop goods, and we have an amazing team of people ready to help you. Save at least 6 cents per litre using AA Smart Fuel cards. We also offer great value on our LPG bottle fills. We have a full workshop and Bridgestone Tyre Centre. Our mechanics and tyre technicians will get your car sorted. Caltex Redwood. We're just down from St Bede's on Main North Road. Caltex Redwood. What drives you?
Blackwells has a proud history presenting leading vehicle brands, extensive backup and service for a total one-stop driving experience. Holden, Mazda and HSV new and used vehicle sales, servicing, parts, paint and panel, Isuzu truck sales and service, all together in one convenient location. More selection, more value, more quality and more reasons to make Blackwells your #1 choice. Visit Blackwells today, corner Waterloo Racecourse Road, Sockburn, or online at blackwells.co.nz.
Are you having trouble with your old mower or just have too much grass? At Mead Mowers and Chainsaws, with our wide range of Husqvarna mowers, no job is too big or too small. We stock rotary, ride-on, zero turn, out front articulated riders, and robotic auto mowers. We have the Husqvarna mower for you. Call in and visit Gavin or Peter at Mead Mowers and Chainsaws.
Action Removals, offering short or long-term storage facilities, full packing services, comprehensive rates, all fully insured and with 6 vehicle sizes to choose from. Earthquake repairs? Action Removals pack, move, store and return your valuable possessions stress-free. Action Removals, a family business that has been operating in Christchurch for over 10 years. Action Removals, your one-stop removal service, on time, every time. 0800 222 526.
Avoid the monkeys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options are also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring, moving company.
Oi! Welcome back to Rob's Country. Farmlands coming in with a gardening grant.
Yes, so we're doing that again this year. Over October and November through their Ladies' Nights, Rural Woman has been working with them to encourage schools to apply for a gardening grant. The grants are worth $2,000 to encourage children to learn about growing vegetables and developing programs at school that encourage children to grow vegetables at school and learn about plant growth and harvesting them and you know, developing that real interest and passion for growing food.
Well, $2,000 buys a hell of a lot of seed and
It does,
compost.
and in past years schools have used it for things like building the raised garden beds. They've bought a lot of plants, they've bought the gardening tools, some have even put money into a glass house, so they've done some really interesting things with it. And
compost bins.
Compost bins and worm farms and all those sort of really interesting things that they're doing. And it's the children are enjoying it, and it's taking it beyond just, you know, growing a few spuds in the back garden to actually showing them how they can grow food for the future for themselves and their families, but also starting to establish really early on for children that love of the land and sustainability and the need to grow food for ourselves and for our communities. So, you know, some of the schools are even growing sufficient that they then have a little farmers market with their community and show the children the whole process, right from planting through growing, nurturing, watering, you know, irrigating and fertilising and harvesting and then marketing their products. So it's quite a whole business strain they're learning. They're learning more than just growing a few spuds. So it's really interesting.
You're having to teach the teachers, no doubt.
Luckily, not too much. They seem to have a pretty good catch on it, but you know, they're obviously teaching within what they know, and often they'll bring in a local person from the community. They're involving local farmers and helping the children and showing their skills and making it quite a learning exercise rather than just a fun activity. And it's you know, it's developing that passion in the children, and you know, then they go on through from primary school through to high school and they take on agriculture and hopefully starting to sow those initial seeds with them. Excuse the really bad pun.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, you're right into it. I'm into puns.
Those really initial seeds with them to start thinking about agriculture and food production as a career choice further on, you know, and extend their studies when they get into high school and further on beyond that. So yeah, I think it's beyond just having a veggie patch. It's what that can actually do for children into the future. Changing
the subject slightly, poppies.
Yeah, another plant. But this is something that Rural Women and a number of other women's groups around the country are doing, and it's in conjunction with commemoration of the World War I and the soldiers who lost their lives in World War I. And we're actually making poppies, knitted, crocheted, craft, patched work, all kinds of poppies, looking for around 18,000, just over that, to represent one poppy for every life lost in World War I. And they'll be going to the National Army Museum in Wairau and displayed there next year. As a commemoration that, you know, it's 100 years since that happened, and it's a really kind of a sad thing when you think it's been 100 years since we had world peace. We've been in turmoil somewhere in the world ever since then, which is kind of sad. But it's nice to, you know, it's another way of recognising the sacrifice that those people made, both men and women. And,
so how do we get involved? Do we buy a poppy and donate it?
No, through our website you can actually find patterns for making poppies, knitted or crocheted, whatever, and then you make them, send them into our national office, and then we'll send them all on to Wairau for the display.
So it's not actually a fundraising thing? It's just
no, it's not. Just a straight outright dedication.
Yeah, exactly. White ribbons?
Yes, November is White Ribbon Month. The 25th of November is the day we recognise the family violence and the need to stamp that out.
It's not all right.
It's not all right, and it is okay to ask for help. You know, whether it be for yourself or for someone you think may be in trouble, it's okay to ask for help or to ask them if they need help. So we're doing some work on promoting that message. We've got letterbox stickers out there, we've got small pamphlets for, and some of them are just quite a small little purse-sized one that you can keep in your handbag, so no one needs to know that you've picked up some information about family violence, because often that's the one thing that puts women off, is where do they find help and how do they do it without anyone knowing, especially the partner or whoever may be affecting them. Is so small things, and also we have some aprons that we can give out for people who are doing sausage sizzles for fundraisers, to just get the message out into the public that, you know, family violence isn't okay, but it is okay to ask for help.
It's interesting that we think automatically that it's not prevalent in the country.
Oh,
it's only a city thing.
It is very prevalent in the country, and there's been quite a number of research studies done on it, and it is perhaps more prevalent than you think, but it takes different forms in the rural sector, and a lot of that is around access to weapons, isolation, forms of intimidation, such as, you know, taking the car keys so she can't go anywhere, putting a restraint on the money because she can't have access to farm accounts, therefore she's got no money, therefore she can't go anywhere or do anything, isolated in their home from other people. You know, just simple things like a farmer who'll sit at the dining table and clean the gun, very intimidatory. But it's right there in front of them. So, and also we also see in rural this switch over into violence against animals, which is used as an intimidation to the woman to say, well, look, you know, if you don't do what I want, then this is what will happen to you, and they go out and injure the animal. So we see that as well, and that's really worrying, because that's really intimidating.
Yeah, how do you get to that? Because the woman's
really
not going
hard.
to say anything.
No, she's not. So we have to, within our communities, be mindful and watch what's going on and look out for those animal welfare issues, which might signify that there's actually something a bit deeper running underneath that as well.
You hear the saying, you know, street angel, home devil. And it's incredibly hard to...
Well, it is. I mean, there's so many cases where, you know, someone looks like a great person, but you don't, once you're living with them, it's a whole different ballgame. And you see that all the time. And I guess in rural, where you don't see each other so often, it's harder to identify. So it is really about, you know, knowing your neighbours and getting to know them and spending time with them, having those times out.
Because you can't get away because you're living in the market and living at the workplace. And
it's really hard too to, you know, there's been work done on trying to find safe houses in rural, but it's really difficult because everyone knows it's there for a start, and
everybody
often
knows everyone else's car.
That's right, and often if you go to the neighbour, well, it's someone they work with, or, you know, so it's all too insular, so it's really hard to get that support. So it is about watching out for your neighbours and knowing that it's okay to ask for help.
All power to you on that one as well. You just do marvellous things, you New Zealand ladies. Thank you very much indeed. Carnival week looming very, very large, and I caught up with a little Irish lass who's going to make a name for herself on the back of a horse.
Well, I started off riding in Dublin bareback at the back of my brother. We had this pony called Tonto, and I kind of just loved horses ever since.
And you've come to New Zealand after a patchy career in Ireland?
Yeah, well, I went to the jockey school when I was 15, and I was always slightly on the heavy side, but loved the job, you know. And then when I was 21, my weight had come down, and I decided to take out a licence. And probably wasn't the best timing with the recession in Ireland, as there wasn't many opportunities. So, but I stuck at it, and I think I only got 20 rides, and I had a lot of placements, and I enjoyed it. But I could kind of given up on the hope of being a jockey in Ireland.
And then you ended up in New Zealand. Why?
Yes. When my ex-boyfriend came here for the rebuild, and he told me that there was lots of opportunities here for girls, and I was quite comfortable at home. Wasn't sure, you know, but it was the best move I've ever made.
So you've ended up being apprenticed to a trainer?
Yes, Mr. Neil Colbeck out in Leafield. He took me on straight from Ireland, and it's been a great move. Neil's taught me a lot, so it's great.
And you've obviously joined the apprentice school here at Riccarton. Yeah,
it's great. Because I was done the jockey school at home was for a year, but this is a different outlook on it, you know, different country, different terms. So it's good to get the paperwork also, you know, on your CV, you know. So it's very helpful.
It's a pretty extensive course.
Yeah, it's gone. I'm here 2.5 years now, and still going and still learning, you know. They get different people in to talk to us, and we always use the horse all the time because you can never practice enough, you know.
Well, speaking of that, how much riding do you get done in a week?
Well, I'd ride up to 8 to 14, 15 in the morning, and then maybe go on to race day. We'd ride, well, it's great when you have 8 rides on race day, but weekly it could be up to 70 or 80.
You've just been told some exciting news.
Yes, I'm going to Australia for 2 weeks on a scholarship and hopefully get some race day experience over there too and learn some new contacts. So I can't wait for that.
So you're going to stay in New Zealand or stay in Australasia as it's known?
Yeah, definitely, because I love the racing, but the lifestyle here is very laid back and I love it here. The killer is that it's far from home, but I think that here's home now.
And the whole thing, I mean, you've just slipped into it and Canterbury's home now? Yeah, definitely. There's lots of nice people around here that have looked after me and made me feel at home, you know, and it's just a good environment to be in and I really enjoy it. Got a good group of people in the academy? Yeah, definitely. They're very helpful for any advice, you know, that's why they always look after you. You know, if you have any problems, they're very approachable and they're very helpful, so it's good to have that behind you. You've got some good rides looming, do you think? What's your best ride so far? Well, Scopola would be the best horse by class that I've ridden, but my favourite would be Wedgie because I had a lot of success off him, but I also lost the ride on him early this year because I clipped heels and nearly fell down, so I got the drag off him and it taught me a lesson. So when I got back on him, I kind of hounded the trainer to get me back on, and eventually he put me back on and we won 3 in a row like straight after that, so it was just a great thrill for it to work out, you know. And as far as the future is concerned, you're a jockey through and through, and that's your career? Yeah, definitely. I think my height has a lot to do with it. I love the horses and the lifestyle it's given me, you know. I went to America there for 3 months riding horses. You can go anywhere in the world, and it's just given me a great life. But I'd love to do something outside horses, like maybe interior designing one day, like just as another interest, you know, because you can't do it all with horses. But no, it's definitely a great lifestyle. I had to keep asking questions, but I love the accent and the giggle so much. That's Sam, and keep an eye out on her. She's riding high. After the break, it's Federated Farmers.
Undergone home renovations? Looking for that special something to complete a room? Look no further than the Hitching Post. Their extensive range ensures you can find that special something. From plasma cut metalwork to candles, artwork, weather vanes, or even a customised gate. So come on down to the Hitching Post, 722 Marshland Road.
Located at the foot of the Port Hills, Berrymead Golf offers a spectacular location for any occasion. Make your dream wedding a reality with private use of our green function room, outdoor garden courtyard, large marquee and stunning gazebo. Or for your next conference, enjoy the relaxed atmosphere of Berrymead Golf, offering a private, spacious conference room with special deals to make any break a true break. All with customised catering from the Wow Cafe. Berrymead Golf, 50 Berrymead Park Drive, right next to the Berrymead Heritage Park.
Avoid the monkeys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options are also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring moving company.
Oi! Airtec wastewater treatment systems are the future here now. Easy to use and efficient, these sewage plants are already where the environmentalists are heading. You can relax as new rules come into place. A series of chambers does the work while you reap the benefits. Easy to landscape, they're ideal for new homes or as a replacement for an old septic tank. Airtec wastewater treatment system, your advantage when dealing with grey or black water. See the RX Plastics website for details or contact RX Environmental.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, the naturopath here at Staywell Pharmacy. Working with the pharmacist, I use herbal and nutritional medicine to recommend natural alternatives for your health. This can be to counteract any side effects of your medication, general health advice, or natural options for you and your family. I'm also available for consultations. So come in and see us at Staywell Pharmacy, 27 Shand Road, Hornby. Staywell Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Just 7 minutes north of Christchurch, Silverstream is a unique residential community carefully planned and developed within a rich natural environment. A family home or terraced villas, Silverstream offers a wide range of living options for every stage of life. The show homes are open. You can select your section, design your home and choose your builder. Purchase the house and land package or the terraced villa for streamside living. Silverstream, a community for everyone. It's closer than you think.
PhoneQuip, the place to shop for a great range of 2 Degrees mobile phones, accessories and USB modems. We can also set you up on a pay monthly plan, or you can purchase your prepaid top-up. To view our range of 2 Degree products, visit our website or simply head in store.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. We're going to be talking a wee bit about workplace, but initially you've got some issues here in Canterbury?
Yes, I think we have, and it's just a follow-on from the elephant in the room, Rob, with regard to the water plan. A lot of work gone on over the last couple of years, as you would be well aware, and some of the farming sector groups are now just sort of catching up to it. But we have spent a lot of time in a collaborative role and trying to work through the issues, around the table, which is the way to do it properly. And we're now getting the farmers saying to us, well, we've been collaborating for a couple of years, we don't really feel we've made much progress. And there's just a little bit of angst out there now, so we need to make sure that we do work through, and the people that we are working with understand that we do have to have something that's going to work for farming as well as the environment. So there's just a little bit of a rising coming up through, which we're aware of now. So we'll work doubly hard to make sure that we make it work if we can.
Good. And the CEO's popped in?
He has. Very impressed, actually. I was out with a meeting. He went to Little River last night. And his mantra is that I'm going to spend the minimum time in Wellington I have to do my job properly, which is hopefully 2 days, and I'm going to get out around the provinces. And that's great, because in any organisation there's usually a bit of a disconnect between the hierarchy and the bottom feeders, I guess. But so it was great out there. He was well received, and I think he's going to make some positive changes in that area. He has got a good background from ag research and as a leader in ag research in other areas. So I'm quite confident that he's going to make good strategic changes in farming with that good background and work from there. So yeah, very, very impressed. He was very well received last night, and coming out and talking to the farmers at Banks Peninsula. It was good.
Good on him. Tell me a wee bit about the changes as far as health and safety is concerned.
Well, this was held over for the election. It was the changes on WorkSafe New Zealand, the new WorkSafe New Zealand, and quite, not draconian I would say, but there's certainly going to be quite major changes in compliance and other things. This was driven by Pike River. Obviously there was a big shake-up after Pike River, and there's now 5 industries identified that have got an unsafe, or not so much unsafe, but high-risk industries which are being targeted, and we're one of those. So the farmers need to be fully aware that they've got some things that they must do when this legislation comes through in April. It may be slightly modified, because I know that Graham Smith is working with them now to try and modify a couple of situations. For example, if a contractor comes on your farm and there is an issue with them, then you become liable. There needs to be some little area of shared liability on that situation. I guess it started off with a chap with the helmet we all know about that refused to wear a helmet, got fined $15,000, and we fully support that fine. I mean, these safety reasons are there for our safety, and we need to be guided. So that was one. But the next one was quite sad. There was a guy, a share milker, that had everything right. He did everything according to the current legislation that he thought was right. But what he didn't do, he didn't map and make aware to visitors and staff the no-go zones or areas of the farm that were potentially dangerous. And he ended up with a fine of $100,000, and it was a bit difficult, because a person did get killed. They took a farm bike into an area that probably where they shouldn't have been. I mean, they should have had the training themselves to do that, but they did. And he was fined on the basis that he didn't have everything else correct, as we're seeing here, but he didn't have that map ready.
All the signatures all done, and
all the things all done, I think. And I guess with that WorkSafe one now, what's going to happen is now it's a matter of induction is the big word. Anyone that comes on your property has to be inducted onto your property. They have to be made fully aware of all the hazards, and they have to sign off that they understand all those hazards. And that includes the contractors that you've had for years that have come on the property. You have to contact all those companies and tell them you are a work-safe place, and they have responsibilities to make contact with the manager and make sure that they're fully aware of all those things. Now, we have two partner companies. I mean, first of all, Federated Farmers has their own occupational health and safety plan. $70 if you remember, and $300 if you're not.
Is it that pays for your subscription?
That's how it works. But this is good. This will be slightly updated as the legislation comes through in April. But this is a very good background. This is one, do it yourself if you want to. This is the cheap way to do it. But I've just recently done on my farm, I've employed Hazard Co, who are a partner. Hazard Co and Farm Safe are partners with Federated Farmers, and they've looked at it all, done it well. It's got to be simple. It's got to be something that staff can understand. And as you can see here, it's simple, it's light, but it has the message there. And all staff have to be trained. They have to sign off that they've been trained. You have to sign off that they understand the training.
There will be those who will say, Grant, that we're wrapping everyone up in cotton wool and common sense is something that nobody ever does anymore.
We will, I guess, say that, and farming is...
Well, there will be those who will.
Yes, they will. They will, and they always do. And there is some justification for that. Yes, I just thought red tape again, and it is. But then you think of the tragedy, and there's been a few tragedies in Canterbury lately on the farming scene. So then you think of the tragedy, and you think of the family that's involved with the person that's been killed. That's a tragedy for that family, but it's also a tragedy for the family on the farm that take that guilt and responsibility. Perhaps they could have done something better, perhaps they shouldn't. So on that basis, yes, it's a bit of a curse, but I think to have everything done right, which you have to have now. So they're going to come and they're going to look to make sure that you've done that. Not so much when there's an accident. They're going to come in and say, can you prove that your staff are trained? Can you prove that that visitor has been inducted into the farm and knows all the hazards and the sites? So that's where they're coming in, and the fine system is shifting, and it's going to be quite draconian. It now goes to the owners or the directors of the company, not the company entity, but it goes to the individual people. So in actual fact, it's quite funny because there's actually directors in Auckland sitting in Queen Street that are having to go through this process because they realise that they are becoming liable. So they're shifts, and they're not big shifts, but I think farmers must do something about it. They need to get onto it before April and make sure their site is site safe.
I mean, as a film crew, we'll go to a dairy shed and we have to do it all. And all we're doing is standing in a dairy shed that's not being used. You know?
That's right.
So it is there. People are using it already, and it's just those who aren't are going to have to.
Yes, that's right. And you do have to sign in. Any visitor has to sign in. It has to be seen to be signed in if they come and check on those figures. Accidents, even near misses, have to be notified, and you have to have a staff meeting once a month to, if there's any issues that have come up in that month that you don't know about, you have to have that meeting to discuss their safety issues with your staff. And I found that the Hazard Co people, they came out, they did a training course for my staff, and I found it absolutely worthwhile. As I said, it's light, anyone can understand it. It's not screeds of writing, and it's a matter of you adding to that list over there what you need to add to that list to make it safe.
Brilliant, Grant. Thank you very much indeed, and let's hope we do save a lot of lives. Federated Farmers' phone number and others you'll want to jot down on your screen now. Rob Cope-Williams. You've either been watching or you've just missed Rob's Country, but I will be back at the same time next week. Until then, bye now.